History remembers them as humble fishermen, impassioned preachers, and fearless martyrs. The 12 apostles of Christ carried his message to the ends of the earth, often meeting tragic and violent deaths. Their stories are woven with human flaws, unshakable faith, and a legacy that resonates through millennia. Let us begin with Peter, the rock upon which the church was built. Peter the Rock. Peter, also known as Simon, Simon Peter, or Cephas, was no ordinary disciple. A fisherman from the ancient village of Bethsaida on the Sea of Galilee's northern shore, Peter's journey is one of unwavering loyalty, human imperfection, and ultimate redemption. Gentle yet unyielding, Peter became the leader of the 12. He was a man of boldness and courage, but like all humans, he faltered. On the night of Jesus' arrest, Peter, gripped by fear, disowned his master 3 times to avoid persecution. Yet this same man walked on water with Jesus and bare witness to countless miracles, including Jesus raising a dead girl to life. Peter's transformation culminated in his final act of faith. In 64 AD, during Emperor Nero's infamous reign and the Great Fire of Rome, Christians were scapegoated and mercilessly persecuted. Peter met his death by crucifixion, but his humility prevailed even in his last moments. Feeling unworthy to die in the same manner as Jesus, Peter requested to be crucified upside down. Thus, the fisherman became an enduring symbol of steadfast faith and humility. James, son of Zebedee. James, son of Zebedee, known as James the Greater, was part of Jesus' inner circle and a key figure in the early Christian movement. A fiery personality alongside his brother John, James once boldly suggested calling down fire from heaven to punish an inhospitable town. James's devotion to Jesus was unshakable, yet he displayed human ambition. In the Gospel of Mark, he and John asked to sit on either side of Jesus' throne, a request that promised martyrdom. True to this promise, James became the first apostle to die for his faith. According to Acts 12 verse 2, King Herod Agrippa executed James by the sword, likely through beheading. His death marked a pivotal moment for the Christian church. Despite dying in Jerusalem, James is closely associated with Spain, where tradition claims he later inspired annual pilgrimages to his shrine in Santiago de Compostela. Today, thousands traverse the Camino de Santiago, retracing steps in his honor. John, the younger brother of James and a fellow fisherman, was perhaps the most intimate witness to Jesus' life and teachings. As a member of Jesus' inner circle, John was present for moments of deep significance, such as the Transfiguration and the Crucifixion, where he took Jesus' mother Mary into his care. John's connection to the resurrection story is iconic. When he and Peter ran to Jesus' tomb after hearing it was empty, John arrived first, awed and puzzled by the linens left behind. While Peter acted, John believed, marking their contrasting roles within the group. Unlike his peers, John escaped martyrdom. According to tradition, he was exiled to the island of Patmos, where he wrote the apocalyptic book of Revelation. He eventually died of old age around 98 AD, the last apostle standing, a pointer to endurance and faithfulness amid trials. Andrew, Peter's brother, holds the quiet honor of being the first disciple called to follow Jesus. Previously a follower of John the Baptist, Andrew was the one who brought Peter to Jesus, proclaiming him the Messiah. Despite his pivotal role, Andrew often lived in Peter's shadow, a second-place position that mirrored his modest character. Andrew's martyrdom, however, speaks to his greatness. In 60 AD, in the Greek city of Patras, Andrew was bound to an X-shaped cross, later known as the St. Andrew's Cross. For 3 agonizing days, he preached to onlookers, turning his suffering into an opportunity to spread the gospel. This act of relentless faith ensured that Andrew, often overlooked in life, would be remembered forever as a disciple who embraced his calling without hesitation or complaint. While some apostles are immortalized in vibrant stories of miracles and devotion, others remain shrouded in mystery, their lives and deaths recounted through fragmented tales and conflicting traditions. Yet, their impact resonates profoundly, underscoring their dedication to spreading Christ's teachings. Here are the stories of Philip, Bartholomew, and Matthew, apostles whose lives reflect courage amid uncertainty. Philip the Apostle is one of the lesser documented disciples in the New Testament, yet his quiet presence had profound significance. Like Peter and Andrew, Philip hailed from the town of Bethsaida by the Sea of Galilee. Interestingly, Greek men sought Philip out when they wished to meet Jesus, hinting that Philip might have been more fluent in Greek than his fellow disciples. Philip is best remembered for two moments in Scripture. First, when he brought Nathanael to Jesus, recognizing the Messiah's significance and paving the way for Nathanael's faith. Second, during the feeding of the 5,000, Jesus tested Philip's practicality by asking how they could feed such a large crowd. Philip's response reflected logistical reasoning rather than divine trust, a humble reminder of his humanity. The circumstances of Philip's death around 80 AD are clouded by conflicting reports. Some traditions claim he died of natural causes, while others describe more gruesome ends: stoning, beheading, or even crucifixion upside down. Despite the lack of clarity, Philip's legacy endures as a disciple who quietly served and remained faithful until the end. Bartholomew, often paired with Philip in Scripture, remains an enigmatic figure whose identity is debated among scholars. Some believe Bartholomew is Nathanael, the apostle mentioned in the Gospel of John, though the two names are never directly linked in the Bible. Whether they were one and the same or different individuals, Bartholomew's devotion to Christ was unmistakable. The manner of Bartholomew's death is surrounded by chilling legends. The most gruesome tale describes him being flayed alive, his skin removed while he was still breathing, and then decapitated. Art throughout history depicts Bartholomew holding his own flayed skin or a knife, a harrowing symbol of his martyrdom. Other accounts suggest varied endings: crucifixion, being beaten unconscious and thrown into the sea, or simple beheading. What is certain, however, is that Bartholomew met a brutal and painful death, sacrificing his life to spread Christ's teachings. The mystery of his story mirrors the mysteries of faith he devoted his life to proclaiming. Matthew, also known as Levi, offers a profound example of redemption. As a tax collector, Matthew was despised by his fellow Jews, seen as a collaborator with the Roman oppressors. Yet, it was precisely this outsider status that made Matthew's calling so powerful. When Jesus approached Matthew at his tax booth and invited him to follow, it was a message to all. God's grace extends to everyone, even the most scorned. Matthew's brief appearances in Scripture are deeply impactful. One particularly striking scene describes Jesus dining at Matthew's house with a group of sinners and tax collectors. This act was not a reflection of poor judgment but a declaration that God's love knows no bounds. Matthew's death, like those of many apostles, is shrouded in mystery. While some accounts suggest he died peacefully of old age, other traditions claim he was martyred in horrific ways: beheaded, stabbed, burned, or stoned. Regardless of how he died, his life's transformation from a social outcast to an apostle of Christ remains a powerful testament to the gospel's redemptive power. The lives of the apostles was all about faith, doubt, and resilience. For some, their stories are told with detail and wonder. For others, the records are fragmented, leaving us to piece together their legacies. Here are the narratives of Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus, and Jude, each of whom shaped the foundation of early Christianity in their own unique ways. Thomas the Apostle, often remembered as Doubting Thomas, is known for his pivotal moment of skepticism, a moment that continues to resonate with those grappling with faith. The Gospel of John recounts the famous story. After the resurrection, Thomas refused to believe unless he saw the nail marks in Jesus' hands and placed his fingers in them. Jesus, appearing to Thomas, invited him to touch the wounds, saying, "Do not disbelieve, but believe." Overwhelmed, Thomas proclaimed, "My Lord and my God." This encounter became a foundation for faith that transcends evidence, inspiring generations to believe without seeing. Thomas's story didn't end in the upper room. According to tradition, he journeyed to India, where he spread the gospel with courage and dedication. On July 3, 72 AD, Thomas met a martyr's death, speared by hostile forces in Mylapore, India. Today, his tomb in Chennai is a revered pilgrimage site, a testament to a disciple who moved from doubt to unshakable faith. James, son of Alphaeus. James, son of Alphaeus, is one of the Bible's most mysterious figures. His name appears only in the 4 lists of the apostles, leaving little else known about his life. His identity is further complicated by the prevalence of James in Scripture, with figures like James the Greater, James the Just, Jesus' brother, and a figure called James the Less, often tangled in historical accounts. What can be said with reasonable certainty is that James the son of Alphaeus was distinct from James the Greater and likely not James the Just. Beyond this, speculation reigns. The most common accounts of his martyrdom suggest he was crucified while preaching in Egypt or stoned to death in Jerusalem. Regardless of the details, James's life demonstrates the steadfastness of an apostle whose faith burned brightly despite his relative anonymity. Jude, known by many names, including Jude of James, Thaddeus, and Lebbaeus, Jude stands as a symbol of hope and perseverance. Often overshadowed by others, his identity is sometimes confused with Jude, the brother of Jesus, though no definitive evidence confirms this connection. What is clear, however, is that Jude was not Judas Iscariot, a distinction likely emphasized to preserve his reputation amidst the latter's betrayal. Tradition holds that Jude worked tirelessly to spread the gospel, reportedly alongside Simon the Zealot. Around 65 AD, both apostles were martyred in Beirut, then part of the Roman province of Syria. Religious art often depicts Jude holding an axe, symbolizing the instrument of his martyrdom. The story of Jude's remains adds another layer of intrigue. While one tradition claims his relics rest alongside Simon's at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, another suggests his bones were preserved in an Armenian monastery in Kurdistan. More recently, an ossuary inscribed Judas Thaddeus was uncovered in Israel's Jezreel Valley, providing a tantalizing yet unconfirmed link to the apostles' earthly journey. Though their stories are often clouded by mystery and conflicting traditions, the lives of Thomas, James, and Jude remind us of the enduring power of faith and the courage required to spread a message of hope. Their sacrifices echo through history, urging us to ponder not only their lives but the strength of conviction that led them to their ultimate sacrifices. As the stories of the 12 apostles unfold, we're reminded of their diverse paths, of those who walked alongside Christ, spreading his teachings, and of one whose actions changed history in infamy. Here are the tales of Simon the Zealot and Judas Iscariot, 2 apostles whose stories bookend the spectrum of faith and human frailty. Simon the Zealot. Simon the Zealot is an enigma among the 12 apostles. His name appears in the New Testament only within the 4 lists of Jesus' followers, and the meaning behind his nickname, the Zealot, remains uncertain. Some believe it signals his affiliation with the Zealots, a radical Jewish sect seeking to overthrow Roman rule in the hope of ushering in the Messiah. Others interpret the title as a reflection of his fervent devotion to Mosaic law or his passion for Jesus and his teachings. Adding to the confusion are mistranslations that identify Simon as the Canaanite, mistakenly linking him to the wedding at Cana where Jesus performed his first miracle. These inaccuracies highlight the difficulty in unraveling Simon's life and mission. Despite the scarcity of details, tradition holds that Simon spread the gospel far and wide, preaching in Egypt and possibly beyond. But accounts of his death remain fragmented and contradictory, further clouded by the passage of time. The 5th century historian Moses of Turin wrote that Simon was martyred in the kingdom of Iberia, while the Golden Legend, a medieval hagiography, claims he died in Persia in 65 AD. Ethiopian Christians believe Simon was martyred in Samaria, while another tale suggests he was crucified in Britain in 61 AD. Some say he was sawn in half, a horrific fate often depicted in religious art, while others maintain he died peacefully of old age in the city of Edessa. Although Simon's story lacks clarity, his steadfast role as an apostle speaks to the quiet courage of those who lived their faith in the face of uncertainty, inspiring countless others to follow his example. Judas Iscariot. No name in history is more entwined with treachery than Judas Iscariot. Once a trusted member of Jesus' inner circle, Judas served as the group's treasurer, managing their modest funds. Yet beneath this responsibility lurked deceit, a flaw noted even within the Gospels themselves. Judas's betrayal unfolded in the most intimate setting, the Last Supper. As Jesus broke bread with the 12, he hinted at the treachery that would soon befall him, declaring that one among them would betray him. Turning to Judas, Jesus solemnly said, "What you are about to do, do it quickly." The other disciples, unaware of the weight of Jesus' words, assumed he spoke about money. That same night, Judas met with the chief priests, agreeing to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, the price of a slave. Leading a mob to Gethsemane, Judas sealed the betrayal with a kiss, identifying Jesus for arrest. This act of greed and weakness led to Jesus' crucifixion and set into motion events that would forever alter the course of history. Consumed by guilt, Judas tried to return the silver, but the priests dismissed him. Overwhelmed by despair, he met a tragic end. The Gospel of Matthew describes Judas hanging himself, while the account in Acts tells of his fall in a field where his body burst open, and all his intestines spilled out. Though the details differ, the consequences of his actions are unmistakable. Judas became a cautionary figure, forever tied to the dangers of greed and betrayal. Simon the Zealot and Judas Iscariot represent starkly different aspects of discipleship. Simon's mystery lies in his devotion and quiet sacrifice, while Judas serves as a reminder of the destructive power of doubt, greed, and regret. The stories of the 12 apostles reveal not only their collective mission but their humanity, their strengths and weaknesses, their triumphs and failings. In their lives and deaths, they left a legacy that resonates deeply, inspiring us to seek purpose and reflect on the choices we make. If you enjoyed learning about their lives, make sure to like and subscribe for more content exploring the incredible figures who shaped our faith and history. Until next time.